Hello and welcome back to another housing video for patch 6.3 Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. Today we're looking at some items that are on the other tab of the housing merchant, some of the vendor purchase items. There's quite a lot of vendor purchased items in 6.3. I thought we'd start with some of the Phasmascapes and things like that. Of course, you can find this at any housing merchant in any of the housing locations, such as this one in the Mist here in the Seagaze Market. And we're going to be looking at the other section, like I say. Tick the box and you'll see that we have two new Phasmascapes, the Crystal Tower Phasmascape for 10,000 gil and the Urths font Phasmascape for 10,000 gil as well. And additionally, once we're here, we might as well have a look at the Alpine Pillar for 3,500, which is an Alpine Pillar, and the Darkest Hourglass, which is a chronometer, telling time with an hourglass for 3,000 as well. So let's just grab those items and do this. I was just going to do the Phasmascapes, but we might as well do the entire tab whilst we're here. Alrighty, here we are in my private estate then, my small house, which is plenty big enough to have a look at these new items. And let's start with those big Phasmascapes. I'm very excited to see what these look like. I haven't looked at them prior to this, obviously, reaction here live. So the Urths font one says, this advanced Magitech contraption displays the electrifying stillness of Urths font. Let's see what this looks like. Wow, look at that. So obviously this looks like parts of the shroud. Let me just back away as much as I can and hide the UI. That's quite nice, isn't it? A lot of people like to put window partitions and wall partitions and like blinds and things and distance themselves with it and lower the lighting in areas to make it look like a window in their property is overlooking a certain part of the game. That's what Phasmascapes allow for. Aside from the scan lines and things, which obviously I wish you could turn off and on, it adds a lot more than just a straight up picture or portrait that you can get from like the Joyous Painter, because you have all of these special effects. For example, we've got some like mist or clouds going across this. It looks more immersive, but in the right context, in the right placement, with the right other things with it, like I say, you can make a really cool and convincing looking backdrop window looking out onto different locations. Alternatively, you could pretend this was a television, which is basically what a Phasmascape kind of is anyway. Basically, Eorzea's version of that, just like CCTV or something, looking out into a place in the world. I'm a massive fan of these, especially some of the other locations we've had. Urths font then, and of course the shroud. Pretty nice, isn't it? I can imagine a lot of people liking the background of this, making use of this, so that's a nice one for 10,000. We also have another Phasmascape, by the way, just to let you know. They are also quite useful on the background as well if you're trying to make things with a flat back. That's what the back of that item looks like, a bit like chipboard or something. We also have another Phasmascape, which is the Crystal Tower one, which I believe is going to get a lot more use, just out of aesthetic belief, because I think a lot of people have always wanted to have the Crystal Tower behind, have a house. It gives you the idea that maybe your house is located near there, the illusion of that, the RP of that. And who isn't a fan of the Crystal Tower? Obviously from previous Final Fantasy games, of course, including this one. It's awesome. It is a really beautiful view. We've got a nighttime visage here with the stars in the sky. We've got a bright luminosity that you would normally find in Mordona with the ruins. It's just fantastic, isn't it? That really does give an air of something different, and I can imagine people making all kinds of different things. One thing I'd like to see people do is try to create portals, similar, Spyro the Dragon, when they have portals and you see what world is behind them. I'd love it if somebody could figure out a way of making this look like a portal to another dimension, because then you can make like a fake teleport room in your house. That would be really sick. But again, much like the other one, flat background behind it, made of like a chipboard material. Very cool stuff. But yeah, most people will be just after that for placing behind things, putting partitions in front of them. Very cool stuff. Very pleased with that. Looks better from a much further away, I think you'll agree, which is why it works so well in stuff like mansions. Right, and we got two other items, didn't we, on there? We've got the Alpine Pillar, a decorative pillar designed in the Alpine fashion. I'm not expecting this to be too crazy. Yep, it's just an Alpine pillar, which of course has a wooden ceiling section and a stone pillar base. You'll be surprised how many people will find this just incredibly useful, especially considering butting up to partitions is not always easy to do and make look natural. So that's a really nice item, in my opinion, even if it is quite a basic one. And I don't believe, however, that it's a dyeable item. I could be completely wrong, but I'm not seeing the option to dye that on my list, which is quite unfortunate because a lot of people will be finding it difficult to match that kind of almost walnut or redwood kind of coloration, which is a shame, but it is just a pillar if you needed one. And the other item is the darkest hourglass. It says an old chronometer that measures silence as much as time. I have a feeling this is a tabletop item, yes, so it's very small, and that's what it looks like. It is an hourglass. Now, whether or not this particular hourglass has any kind of time telling ability is another question entirely. I have now placed it on a surface I can't grab it from. Let's place that on a table because that's what it's supposed to be doing. It is a tabletop item. Big disappointment with this one. The sand doesn't move, which is the whole point behind an hourglass, isn't it really? It is nice. It's decorative. Another decorative item. I do like the almost Asian sort of curves and twists on this. It would look really good in like an Amarotian themed house. Just another thing in the background, little bits and pieces, doodads, and it has some nice shiny textures. So yeah, not too bad, but it would have been nice to have this look more like glass or something. It kind of looks like some kind of rock in two vases upside down or something. I have no idea. However, out of all of the items, this is the dyeable one, so you can change the color of that metal, which is really cool. So if you wanted to, you could make that bright blue and, you know, whatever color you'd like. It is a nice item, don't get me wrong. It's just I don't like the texture quality of the sort of crystal sand stuff and the fact that it doesn't move. It's just not. Yeah, this is an item I would probably put on the top of something so you're not looking directly at it, just as like a little extra in the corner or something, to not draw too much attention to it. But it is cool. It is cool nonetheless. But those are the items on that tab. I thought it would be cool to look at the Phasmascapes, but really the big highlight, I think, of this one is the Crystal Tower Phasmascape. At least in my opinion, definitely takes, takes first place out of those items we've just looked at. But let me know what you think. Do you like Urths font? Do you like the Crystal Tower? Which one would you prefer? I'd also be very interested to see if anyone has utilized these and how you utilize them. Give me some ideas of how I can utilize them in my housing area. That would be awesome. Anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you all next time for more stuff. Bye-bye.